Senegal just turned to Russia, snubbing France. I mean, this is a significant move. This is a kind of move that, honestly, is quite interesting. You know that Senegal has been like a colony of France. You understand me? You know, even the current president of Senegal right now, Faye, we have been watching him closely because, though we can remember Sanko, who is the current prime minister of Senegal, he said that France need to leave Africa. He said it before they won the election. We had that video where he was talking about what France has done to Africa. You understand? But after the election, they are still slow in taking the action. We know it's a democratic country. You understand? So they are not going to just take action like that, right? So there's always document. When it comes to democracy, there is always document. You can't just take action and chase France. But the way they are acting recently is like they actually want to drive away France. The way they are acting recently, though we are still watching them. So recently, their minister visited Russia, and they want a close relationship with Russia. Now, what's that message sending to you? Is that not like, France and Russia, they are not in good terms. In fact, the whole of Europe right now with Russia is only talking as a close bit in relationship with Russia. But other European countries are right now, they don't like Russia. All right? Me personally, I respect Russia as a nation. I respect Russia. Russia is a great nation. I mean, I have, like, according to what I have seen since I started following global politics, since I've started reading about history, I can like tell you that Russia has been fair. Russia, they are not bullies. You understand? The country is not bully like other nations, like the West, that just want to bully you, they want to control you, they want to impose their morality and all their agendas on you by fire, by force. So this is a very significant move. I want you to listen to this. Just pay attention. Listen to this.
Your Excellency, what role can Senegal play in the stabilization of the Sahel region? And how do you see the subsequent cooperation with the Alliance of Sahel States? You know the fate of the alliance is closely tied to our brother countries. There is no possibility of a fracture between us and the Sahel states. We are neighbors, linked by history and blood ties. The Sahel states are an entity we respect. Today, our president, His Excellency, has engaged in discussions with the states of the Sahel alongside the presidents of Togo and Nigeria. He has appointed Professor Abdoulaye Bathily, a well-known intellectual at both national and international levels, as the special envoy of Senegal to the Sahel states. Our Prime Minister was there less than 2 weeks ago for an official visit to Mali to discuss and show solidarity. As you know, we took a clear stance when this crisis occurred in several of these countries, particularly regarding certain economic decisions that had an impact. However, we maintain that ECOWAS is an entity created by our founding fathers, which we must protect, support, improve, and strengthen. We are committed to keeping all avenues of discussion open for improvement. Once again, the Sahel states are brother countries, and we will do everything to ensure healthy bilateral relations between Senegal and all three Sahel states. We also support these states at the international level, and whatever their choices, they will remain brother countries.
There are 50 schools in 13 provinces of Senegal where the Russian language is taught, which is studied by 6,600 students, and this number will be increased further. At the level of the regions of Russia, Senegal in this area has good prospects within the framework of relations with the state of Tatarstan in Russia. There is an agreement on cooperation between the cities of the state of Tatarstan and St. Louis, following the visit of the delegation of the Russian Federation in July of last year. Sevastopol signed agreements on cooperation between municipalities in the commercial, economic, scientific, and technical fields. We had a fruitful exchange of opinions on the relevant topics of the global and regional agenda. We noted the convergence and proximity of approaches on the majority of the topics discussed in international politics. We are committed to the basic principle of international communication as well as respect for the right of peoples to choose models of political, social and economic development. We cooperate closely within the United Nations UN. We are grateful that Senegal supports the majority of Russian initiatives in the UN General Assembly. We support the fight during the UN Security Council elections in the various multilateral structures, and we agreed to continue to strengthen the coordination of foreign policy. Of course, we address the situation around Ukraine. Senegal occupies a position of principled objectivity, and we will continue to inform our Senegalese friends, as well as all other representatives of Africa and the global South and East, on the situation unfolding. We remember that President Putin in July proposed a new peace initiative after other initiatives and agreements were broken, destroyed and sabotaged by the Kyiv regime and its Western allies. While we are willing to negotiate, in the region of Kherson, there can be no question of negotiations. We also address the situation in the Sahel region, including the situations in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. Russia expressed deep concern related to the growth of terrorism in this area, as Islamist groups like Al-Qaeda are gradually expanding their influence and activities in West African countries, including the neighboring countries of Senegal. We are ready to coordinate our efforts to face these threats. We are ready to help Senegal and other African countries strengthen their defense capacity and increase the anti-terrorist capabilities of their special services. In general, we declare that the situation in the Sahel region will be the subject of discussions with African countries. We are ready to help them, as I have already mentioned, and to increase the capacity of their special services to protect national territories. We will continue to develop economic cooperation with our African friends, in accordance with the decisions taken during the Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg in 2023. This year in November, St. Petersburg will host the first Russian ministerial conference at the request of the leaders of the Sahel. We will address the issue of implementing agreements and resolving problems during negotiations at the highest level, and I believe that this will be very crucial. I am grateful to Madam Minister for confirming her participation in this event. That is why I think today's negotiations have been very useful, as they ensure continuity in our relations and create a solid basis for strengthening them. I thank you.
Merci, Excellence. Je voudrais commencer par remercier chaleureusement mon homologue russe.
Thank you, Excellency. I would like to start by warmly thanking His Excellency, Mr. Sergei Lavrov, for having done me the honor of inviting me to Moscow for this important working visit. I would also like to thank him for the warm welcome and hospitality my delegation and I have received since our arrival in the Russian Federation. Regarding our bilateral cooperation, we have a very rich regulatory framework consisting of about 30 agreements, but we wish to strengthen it, particularly in sectors such as mining, energy, agro-industry, scientific research, training in hydrocarbon-related professions, and fishing. We discussed the revival of the political consultation mechanism established in 2007 between the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, 14 years after the convening of its first session held in 2010 in Moscow, at the invitation of the Russian side. I also welcome the inauguration of the Africa-Russia-Eurasia Chamber of Commerce and Investment, the first of its kind in Africa, which will act as a catalyst in strengthening multi-sectoral trade between Senegal and Russia, and consequently all countries on the African continent. In recent years, several Russian investors have started operations in Senegal. Among these Russian companies present in Senegal, we can cite Atlantic Seafood, which is involved in the production of fish meal and soybeans, as well as in the freezing of food products. Flash Africa Sea Products took over Africa Marifro Export, specializing in the processing of peanut exports mainly to Asia. Yango Senegal is active in road transport. In addition, the installation of a Kamaz truck assembly line in Senegal is envisaged by the authorities of Tatarstan. This plant should eventually supply the East African market and beyond the sub-region, thanks to the facilities that will be offered to the African Free Trade Zone, AFCFTA. It should be noted that 167 Kamaz vehicles have already been delivered to Senegal. In 2021, Senegalese drivers and mechanics were trained at the Kamaz Training Center in Naberezhny Chelny, Russia. I would therefore like to invite Russian business leaders to collaborate with Senegalese entrepreneurs to invest in Senegal. Senegal is a peaceful democratic country that presents different opportunities and can do better to showcase its green knowledge and their products in the West African market. In addition, the trade between the two countries, estimated at $1.25 billion in 2022, could be considerably increased if the economic operators of the two countries come to know each other better. Concerning cooperation and training since the Soviet Union era, the Russian side offers scholarships for the training of Senegalese cadres in different fields. Moreover, for the academic year 2024-2025, as the minister said, Russia has decided to increase to more than 100 the quota of scholarships allocated to Senegal. I express my gratitude to the Russian side and welcome the expansion of training offers to the scientific sectors of advanced technologies, oil and gas engineering, in the context of the exploitation of gas and oil mining resources, and the industrial transformation that Senegal seeks to undertake. Reflecting on recent history, we realize that Africa and Russia have maintained close ties that date back to the decolonization of our continent and the subsequent struggles. We also addressed the resurgence of terrorist acts in the Sahel and the urgency of eradicating them. The same applies to conflicts shaking the world. Senegal encourages the search for peaceful solutions to negotiate the different crises, whether between Russia and Ukraine or within our continent in Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC.